They're watching! Well, took you long enough to get here, and now we can put on the show. What is it with you and your show? Just leave it to me and we'll get straight on with the review. My name is Elle, and just consider me your compass rose through the spooks and scares of Resident Evil Village. I've been a horror fan for a long time now, and going into a new game, it can be kind of vague as to what the meaning of horror is. This is a non-spoiler review that should hopefully give you a better idea of the creeps and surprises that await you in the newest installment of the Resident Evil series. As a disclaimer of sorts, this is the first Resident Evil game I've ever played, so the thoughts and opinions expressed in this review are based solely on the contents of Resident Evil Village and not the entire franchise. Seemingly as a direct sequel to the events of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, you again take the role of Ethan Winters, now living a domestic lifestyle with his wife Mia and new baby Rosemary in Europe, far away from the events that took place in Louisiana. Within the first hour of the game, Ethan's newfound stability is thrown into chaos as a series of surprising and unlikely events find Ethan searching for his child alone in an isolated village surrounded by dense woods. Driven by his desperate desire to reunite with his daughter, Ethan presses on in the face of strange circumstance to encounter a pantheon of monstrous beings who have a mysterious agenda for the young Rosemary. The events of the game follow Ethan along the twists of mystery around what happened in his home, what happened in Louisiana, and what it means to have familial ties. With the stage set, let's get into the meat of the horror encountered in Village. The pantheon of monstrous beings I referred to earlier are called the Four Lords, and are four individuals with their own regions of reign under the mysterious Mother Miranda. As one would expect when venturing off to face each lord, you find yourself in several distinct areas in the village. Amazingly, this game avoids the pitfalls of repetitive gameplay when moving from one zone to the next by drastically changing the goals and general theme of horror between the domain of one lord to the other, forcing the player to change the methods of gameplay and problem solving for every situation. As for the type of horror experienced, the Village has a wide breadth of classic horror genres that can keep a wide variety of players on edge for at least one area or the next. The home of a doll maker filled with strange dolls seemingly watching you, a looming castle filled with immortal hunters of man, an open body of water with something large but quite unseeable under the surface. The locations and environments very easily change between settings to throw the player and Ethan into a unique scenario that is difficult to predict. While progressing through the narrative, you encounter a plethora of creatures, ranging from mysterious to gruesome in appearance and in actions. Just when you feel you've seen every type of grunt creature the game will present to you, another one is introduced. While the visuals and gameplay style is rather diverse, the general horror themes all fall under a disturbing umbrella. The game not only has you jumping at ambient sounds, awaiting a creature to show up in an empty place, but also shows you monsters that are grotesque and strange, continuing the Resident Evil legacy of mutant-like body horror. When the game doesn't have you outright fighting or running from the horrors of the village, there is an oppressive, creepy feeling you get when exploring, making even the downtime moments feel as though you're being watched. A continuing theme from Biohazard is the general abuse of Ethan's hands. Being limited to the first-person point of view, any body blows that are seen by the player have to happen to Ethan's hands. And the game does not shy away from throwing those poor mitts through the ringer for nearly the entire game. Now that I've shared my thoughts on the spookiness of Resident Evil Village, I would describe the horror style as highly active, grotesque horror. Resident Evil has a long lineage of survival horror, and this game does not let down in that regard. Village keeps the players on their toes the entire time. The fight or flight conundrum is fueled by the desire to manage items and conserve ammo. Every encounter has you really trying to consider whether it's worth it to clear out the entire area or just scrape by with enough ammo to go on to the next unknowable encounter. The overall visual design is grotesque, from the character design itself to Ethan's poor hands taking damage. When you're not actually seeing the terrifying monsters of the village, the excellent sound design keeps players alert and awaiting what's to come next. The game doesn't rely on jump scares, but there are a few here and there that feel more like lighthearted jokes to ease tension rather than to be the main source of horror. The game paces itself well, the ebb and flow of scary things allowing for the player to sit and play continuously for hours at a time. The game showcases the lineage of Resident Evil by being gorgeous and well-rounded, which is all that we would hope for from a AAA horror game. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
behind you.